COVID-19 is winding down here in Nassau, Bahamas, but our discussions continue. And joining me now is Filipe Baptista. He's the Secretary General of ARCTEL, and we just want to talk a little bit about how everything's going here at GSR. So welcome, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you are a panelist at today's Regulator track on evidence-based decision-making, and there you discuss the Regulatory Outlook Report and tracking the evolution of regulation. How is it evolving?
It's probably the most difficult panel to be in because we're talking about the future of regulation, which we do not know what's going to be because the world has changed so much. Things have changed dramatically in the last 10 years with new players coming into the sector, with a total change of mindset in terms of regulation because it's not vertical anymore, so it's transversal to various sectors. So the key word that we found on that panel, and I think throughout GSR, was collaboration. I mean, collaboration is the key word. The challenges are global, so the only way you can overcome those challenges if you have collaborative regulatory initiatives, global-wide, like the one you're having here in Bahamas, the GSR. So that was the final keyword. And from another perspective, one of the things, and that's what we're doing at ARCTEL at this moment, we are revisiting the old instruments of regulation. For instance, universal service. I mean, the universal service, it was developed in a perspective where the world was basically, when it was developed, was based on fixed line telephony, which is nothing today. It doesn't exist anymore. I challenge you to find a person in this room that's still sending a fax, for instance, if you know what a fax is. So we're doing that in ARCTEL. We're trying to revisit the old instruments like the universal service one in order to reformulate it and look as a tool to develop the future of the sector and the future of regulation. So this is also one of the things that I believe it was clear for all the participants here in the GSR. The other thing that we had embraced here, especially at the regional associations meeting, it was prior to the GSR event, which is a very useful platform for all the regulators because it's where you can have a big picture of what is happening in the whole world, and especially in the different regions, because we cannot forget that besides the challenges are global, they are also have to be addressed in a regional level. So that is a very important platform for us as regulators to have the sharing of experience in a regional approach. So as I was saying, one of the key issues also discussed there was the fact that we have to look at capacity building as a tool. And as a tool, not only direct to regulators or to the industry or to the users. I mean, a new model has to be set up. You have to put in the same room, in the same capacity building initiative, all the stakeholders, because then they will be learning the same thing, they will be sharing the same experience, and they will be talking the same language, which normally it's one of the obstacles for overcome the problems in regulation, because industry has one view over one problem, the regulators have another one, maybe the users have a totally different one. So if you put them all in the same room, doing the same thing, learning the same thing, maybe you can overcome one of those challenges.
And this is where symposiums like GSR come in, where you get to collaborate, come together and talk about these things. Because it's, as you said, it's difficult to predict the future. So how do regulators stay on trend? How do they stay relevant? And I'm guessing that these conversations kind of help with that.
No, totally. It's exactly what you said, because I mean, it would be wonderful to predict the future. That would be awesome. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So I mean, this kind of initiatives, and special thanks for the government of Bahamas. It was really impressive. All the set here, the organization, the facilities that they provided us to work, it was amazing. Plus, the social events were really, really good, and that's also important because bring people together in a more relaxed environment. So that's also good. So, going back to your question, I mean, exactly, this is crucial to have people on the same table, on the same floor, discussing openly in a very open way, because otherwise, if we keep our agendas closed, I mean, there's no way you're going to overcome the problems, because the problems are not unique, are not singular anymore. They are not my problems or your problems as regulators. It's everyone's problems, and we have to overcome them. We have to overcome them together. So, being together and collaborative, I think, that are the two key words in this kind of events, and that's what you're looking for. That's why you participate in these events.
Well, you've done my job for me already, which is sort of transition us into the more relaxed part of our conversation.
You see?
And you know, this is the first time that this event has been hosted in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, really. Only the second time in the Americas. You've said some good stuff about it. How are you feeling about how the Bahamas performed putting on such a mega event like this?
First of all, I hope that this will not be the last. So this starts to answer to your question. You did a great job. I mean, generally speaking, I've been attending the GSRs almost since the beginning. I'm almost 17 years in the sector, so this is the 17th GSR, so almost of them I've been there. And I mean, without criticizing the others, because they did a great job, this was one of the most smooth GSRs that I ever participated. And why? And smooth is not, it's not bad, it's good, because there was tension, there was discussions, but at the end, people had agreed in a very common line, which was the collaborative regulatory approach. So, for that extent, the job that the regulator did here, the Bahamas regulator, was amazing. The team is incredible, very young and very active, and the chairman of the regulator, I think you don't need to comment on that, because we all know Stephen, and he's an awesome guy, is doing a great job. So in terms of the conditions, they're perfect, because we are in a wonderful resort, first of all. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to go outside the room. I'll plan to do it this afternoon to experience at least the water of the Caribbean. But in terms of the conditions, were awesome. It was really great job. Apart from that, as I was telling you, the social events that you guys organized for us was also very inspiring, because, again, as I was saying, sometimes you can overcome things in a more relaxed environment, because when you're in the room with all the industry, all the regulators, there's a lot of attention, there's a lot of discussions, and sometimes things get a little bit extreme. But then at the end, when you have the social events that you organize, and I was really impressed, and I fell in love by your conch salad and by your sky juice, which I will take back to Portugal, some of that. You overcome those problems. So this is like a big set. You cannot separate the things. You cannot talk of the GSR in terms of what you're doing in the room and what you're doing afterwards. It all comes together, and it's very important that it come together, because at the end of the day, in between those two events, if you wanna address that way, most of the times you overcome the main problems that you face normally in the room.
Okay, so we can call GSR 17 a success.
Oh, absolutely.
Great.
Major success.
All right, thanks so much for chatting with us. It's Filipe Baptista of ARCTEL, and we want you to enjoy the rest of your time here in the Bahamas.
Oh, absolutely. I'll plan to do that now that it's over.
Great, thanks so much.